You're watching BionicDance. Don't run on automatic, instead, please think.
I was recently asked to explain what's wrong with sexual atheism.
If your answer is anything other than not a damn thing, I'm not sure we can be friends. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. Meet Alan Schlemon of Stand to Reason videos. No, I'm not kidding. His name is really Schlemon. Dude should be doing stand-up instead of Stand to Reason. He's going to talk to us about sexual atheism, which, right away, sounds like something of which I am in total support.
Now, in order to answer this question, we first have to answer what sexual atheism is. And the answer is simple, and that is that sexual atheism treats sexuality as if there's no God.
Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why do so many atheists still shout, "Oh God, during sex? I've also never heard a compelling reason why any God should be in charge of people fucking. Seems just a smidge prurient, intrusive, and dictatorial, doesn't it?
In other words, when a person decides about how to behave, morally speaking, with regards to their own sexuality, they are going to decide in the same way that an atheist does. And of course, an atheist doesn't believe there's a God, and so therefore there is no God out there in order to inform their own moral behavior.
Gee, you mean they might have to act like mature adults, relying on compassion and empathy to figure out how to behave? Rather than having some domineering parent figure hand down a bunch of rules, I mean. I don't know about you guys being God's children, but it sure does sound like he's your babysitter.
And so the Christian, therefore, acts in the same way that an atheist does. They say, look, with regards to my sexual behavior, I'm going to assume there's no God, and I'm going to engage in sex outside of marriage, and I'm going to act and behave the way an atheist does with regards to that.
I've never heard a compelling reason to not engage in premarital sex. Hell, suppose it's with the person you think you want to marry. Let me ask you, would you buy a car without test driving it first? But let's suppose there is a God. Have you heard about those Muslim brothels where they marry a guy to his whore before they fuck, then divorce them immediately after? Don't you think that God would see right through that? Letter of the law versus the spirit, right?
Now, I suppose it's pretty obvious as to why a Bible-believing Christian would think that such an action, like sexual atheism, is wrong. And the reason is because there actually is a God, and that God does inform our moral behaviors.
All you just said is that you do it because God said so. That's not a reason. Can you tell us why God said so? I did a little digging myself and found a few of the reasons given by Christians. There are a few Bible passages that say sex is only for procreation and therefore only for marriage. But they also said words like seemed and implied. The purpose for the sex after marriage rule is never given explicitly or unambiguously. There is also a passage telling widows and spinsters to never have sex again, or, if they really can't control themselves, to go get hitched. Now, I can understand way back in the day trying to force commitment on people bumping uglies. They didn't have birth control back then, so making sure any child was taken care of made sense. But let's face it, those rules are outdated. Today's world is very different, and sex doesn't automatically mean kids. And another harsh factoid, explicit official marriage is not necessary for both parents to be there for their child. Point is, when you tell us the rules about sex and your only explanation is that God said so, you're not really giving rational people a reason to agree with you. And if you do give biblical reasons, you're still not.
After all, God created us, and He's given us a owner's manual, if you will, an owner's manual, in order to guide how we're supposed to use our bodies.
Maybe it's just me, but every owner's manual I've ever seen didn't say much more than how to put something together and how to make it not break. Maybe a stereo would caution you to not piss off your neighbors, but really, an owner's manual in general doesn't give you a bunch of rules to follow. The Bible isn't an owner's manual, it's a manifesto.
Jesus even says, if you love me, you'll obey my commands.
Which doesn't at all sound like an abusive and manipulative relationship. Not even a little bit.
The New Testament clearly teaches that engaging in sex outside of a one-man, one-woman marriage is immoral.
You ever notice how a very large amount of what religion says is immoral is also a lot of fun? You'd think having a good time was fattening or something. Anyway, until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's a good chance you're the reason I'm saying it.